how to control the emotions, how to regulate emotions. And I don't know if you can hear, there's a storm outside here in Chicago. So I don't know if you can hear that thunder, and hopefully that won't disrupt you. But rather, we want to look at this as a very beautiful illustration to emotions, because when people think about anger or strong emotions, they liken it to storms. And some people feel like tornadoes, thunderstorms represent when you feel really mad or when you feel really angry or really upset. And they feel like emotions are just totally uncontrollable. But is that really the case? Is it really true that you cannot control emotions? Like you have no say and there's nothing you can do in order to be able to get mastery over your emotional state? Most trauma survivors, because they're in the emotional limbic brain, feel like their emotions are just overwhelming. Like there's just absolutely nothing they can do about the immense psychological pain that they're experiencing, about the intense anger that overtakes them, about the very intense stress and anxiety that grips them. They feel powerless against the emotions. The emotions feel like a storm, like there's no way that they can overcome them. But if that's the case, then why are we expected to be in control of ourselves? In fact, we tend to liken adulthood to people who are less emotional and ultimately more in control, more composed, right? We expect adults to handle their emotions. So if there was an argument between a child and an adult, we have expectations that that adult would conduct themselves a certain way. So is it actually true that there are that we are powerless to our emotions? And again, we're having storms here in Chicago, so if I freeze or anything, you send me a message, let me know. But is it true that we're powerless to our emotions? Well, we need only look at actors, professional actors. Isn't it isn't it the case that you've seen professional actors actually be able to jump on stage and they can show almost any emotion on command, even if they've done the same show every night? They can cry on demand. They can laugh on demand. How is it that an actor can actually make themselves cry? How is that possible? It's a weird concept, isn't it? I don't know if you guys could hear that thunder. It's pretty intense here. How can an actor make themselves cry? If we can't control our emotions, then how can a person force themselves into an emotional state? Well, we must have some control. We must have some autonomy over the emotional state. If you can make yourself cry on command, if you can show anger on command, or you can show that you're frightened on command. In fact, these actors say that they can act the emotion and then feel it. Or some say that they feel the emotion and then they allow it to naturally come to their face. But whatever the strategy, they have methods to be able to display certain emotions. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could control the emotions that you display? Wouldn't that be an awesome gift? If you could stay calm while being provoked, if you could only be angry when you really needed to step up to the plate and speak up about something, if you could feel joy when you felt like feeling joy, wouldn't that be awesome if you had that type of control? Absolutely. But I'm here to tell you, you do. I'm not going to give you a lesson on acting, but we're going to deconstruct the methods that actors use so that we can use them in our real lives to harness the power of our emotions and regulate our own emotional state. Because sometimes we feel like we're just captive to the emotions. And most survivors say, I couldn't control myself. There was nothing I could do. I felt like I had to insert emotion, cry, be sad, be stressed out, be angry. But that's not the case. We have the ability to control ourselves, and we can do so with skill, with practice, with repetition. We can actually become very skilled at emotional control. It's like in martial arts, where let's say a child or a young person joins a particular discipline of the martial arts, but it's through learning to fight that they learn to be more self-controlled. Now, how is it that learning the skills of fighting makes you more self-controlled? Well, by accessing what's actually possible, by accessing the potential, they gain mastery. They become familiar with their abilities, how they can use their hands, how they can move their feet, the power of their body, what they can and cannot do, what they can and cannot take. And by exploring it, they become wise to it. And when they become wise to it, they become masters of it. I'm going to repeat that. By exploring it, they become wise to it. By becoming wise to it, they become masters of it. So are you going to get good at controlling your emotions by running from your emotions? Are you going to get good at controlling your emotions by distracting yourself when you feel emotional? Are you going to get good at controlling your emotions by just letting them run free? You need to be the master of the emotions. Scientists can pinpoint the part of the brain where emotions stem from. If you picture the brain like a mushroom, you have the canopy of the mushroom, and then you have the stem. And it's that stem part of the mushroom where the limbic system, the emotional brain, resides. Scientists know that the emotional brain is in that stem, and there are tubes that come out from the emotional brain that go into the canopy, but the canopy is this thinking part of the brain. Neuroscientists have identified that they don't know which side of the brain is responsible for logic, which side of the brain is responsible for creativity, contrary to popular science, where you might hear, oh, you're a right brain person or a left brain person. There is no side of the brain that's responsible for that. Scientists cannot tell you which portion of the brain controls introversion or speech or taste, because there is no identifiable parts of the brain that are responsible for music or dancing. The canopy is where all thoughts, all creativity, all logic is meshing and moving together. And what they find is that you are electricity. Your mind is flowing. It's electrical currents that are flowing through the brain. And these currents can work together and flow like the birds that fly in flocks, like the fish that swim in the ocean in schools, where they all move together as one, like aurora borealis. We see the patterns in nature. That's how the electricity is moving in your brain, representing the mind. It flows. You can learn through mindfulness and through practice how to regulate that flow. And that is what we all want to do. We want to regulate the flow so that we have a nice, smooth flock swimming through the mind. We want the currents to regulate in such a way where the emotional brain is working in harmony with the canopy instead of the emotional brain taking over. When you are just purely an emotional, traumatized person, you are living in the smallest part of your brain. I repeat, you are living in the smallest part of your brain. You are not reaching your potential. So when you give in to just distraction or whatever to get rid of the emotion and you're running from the emotion, you are living small. That is not your potential as a human being. You were meant for so much more. You have the ability as a human being to regulate your flow. And yes, it's a flow. The brain scans show it is literally a flow of electricity through the mind and energy through the mind, like the waves of an ocean. And you can control, you can regulate the flow the same way you can affect the waves of an ocean by creating current, by creating movement. So where are you moving the energy in your mind? We find many of us are subject to rumination. And we only really call it rumination when it's that we're going over and over and over and over again something negative, because we want to stop that. We never get tired of thinking something positive. But when it's something negative, it creates so much negative energy and negative emotion that we say, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I just want to stop this. I hate this. I hate that I keep going back and thinking in this negative way, Why is it that it's so hard to stop ruminating and thinking the same thing over and over again when we know it's bad for us, when we know it makes us feel bad? Well, it's because of the way the brain works, right? As that energy is flowing on the canopy of the brain, it goes into the grooves, right? And so when we create a neural pathway, which is a place where we think in a certain pattern all the time, we wear a groove in the brain. And so all of the energy goes and flows into that groove. And then since it's got a groove going, it's like, hey, this is the path of least resistance. This is how we flow in this brain. And it keeps going back to that neural pathway. In order to stop the perseveration, to stop all of the overthinking on the same topic, you need to move the energy away from that topic. And the best way to do that is by creating a new neural pathway, a more healthy neural pathway. These neural pathways are like paths in a forest or in a field. You have to walk them again and again and again and again so that the energy can flow into that direction, because in a field or a forest, just walking through it one time doesn't create the path. But repeated walking through will lay down a path that the ground will become as hard as cement. That's the way it works in nature. That's what your brain is. It's nature. Neuroscientists have discovered it's an ecosystem. Your brain is an ecosystem. So you have to nurture the garden. How do you do that? Well, everything is controlled through energy in the brain. And the mind is just that. It's pure energy. And since you are your mind, beyond the physical body, you just are your mind. You must learn to harness this energy, to control it. It is the most powerful gift you will have, to control the mind, to tap into the power, the electricity that's flowing through the mind. Literally, there's so much power in the mind that scientists can tap the brain, put an electrode right there, and they can light up a light bulb with all the energy in your brain. Literally, they do this all the time. And they've known this for decades. There's so much energy in the mind. 20% of the calories you eat are being burned up in the brain. So don't use those 20% of your calories towards thinking about your ex, or towards ruminating over how your dad was abusive, or thinking about how mean your mom is. Don't keep ruminating over and over again about something that's not helpful to you. Move that energy, flow that energy over to where it is helpful, and keep thinking again and again about what is helpful to you until you wear a groove into the brain, until you create a new neural pathway. And then the rumination will be cured. Are there shortcuts? Yes. There's shortcuts to cease the rumination in the short term, but you have to keep going back to creating that new neural pathway. Now, what should we be thinking about? You need to identify a purpose. A purpose is a fancy way of saying, what are your goals? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Since time is going to pass, you might as well pick something that is going to be worthwhile, worth the sacrifice, worth the suffering that you will have to go through in order to get there, because you're going to suffer somewhat over the next couple of years anyway. So you might as well be able to get to the end and say, and look back and say, oh, that was worthwhile. That is your purpose. Whatever it is, when you get to the end and you look back and say, well, that was worthwhile, I'm actually really glad I did that. That is identifying your purpose. It's how you can use some of your own unique gifts, talents, and abilities to benefit others, to benefit mankind, and benefit the self simultaneously, right? So that it's synergistic, it's energetic. So once you have your purpose identified, you will use visualization. Visualization is a meditative technique where you will close your actual eyes to be actualized by going into your mind, into your imagination, and envisioning like you're watching a movie where you want to be. Picture yourself in your dream career, running your dream business, that nonprofit, writing that book or had it already written, working on that film, playing with your children, whatever it is. What is your dream of the future? Envision that dream. Because what we're going to do is we're going to reverse engineer the brain to change its rumination from this negative energy rumination that creates negative emotions to this positive rumination that not only creates positive emotions, it's giving you all the good chemicals to optimize your health and to optimize the entire ecosystem of the body and the mind to achieve said goal. The subconscious mind believes that that vision, that movie that it's watching is real. That's why we like watching movies, because we literally escape ourselves. At least it feels literal in the mind. You feel like you are a spy when you're watching a movie. Your heart is beating. Quickly. No, cut the blue wire. They're coming, they're coming. In fact, my pet peeve in a movie is during an action scene when clearly there is a threat coming and the actors are moving so slow. And they're just, oh, we got to get ready. It's like, go. Why are you moving so slow? Why do I get so caught up in the film? Because the subconscious mind can't identify that it's a film. The subconscious mind cannot identify the difference between reality and fantasy, what you're imagining and what's real. The subconscious mind cannot identify. It will just give you the emotions for the situation. It simply says, okay, this looks like where we're at. Whatever the movie you got playing, whether it's on your television screen, whether you're doing it in real life, whether you're remembering it, whether you're imagining it, the subconscious mind says, okay, that's what's real. This is how actors are able to create emotion. Because when they do a scene, even though there's cameras, a crew, craft services got food out, they just imagine they are really in the scene. They use their imagination to trick their subconscious mind. And they tell the subconscious mind, I am actually this person. And I actually speak with a Southern accent. And I'm actually really angry right now. They come up with the anger, right? And they do that. They're tricking the subconscious mind. So they become a whole nother person with all different emotions. The ability to act, to actually become a different person, is one of the most amazing abilities we have when we tap into it and realize that we are supposed to be doing that. We are supposed to be being that in real life. We have to recognize that we are supposed to be regulating the emotions, creating a scene for the subconscious mind in real life. We are supposed to decide who we will be, how we will act in real life situations. You decide how you act. You control your actions. You are in control. Sounds good, right? But how do I do it? How do actors do it? They give themselves the vision in that moment. Some actors, if they want to feel scared, will remember a time that they felt scared in real life. Or they'll remember a time they felt sad if they need to emote sadness. Or they'll remember a time that they felt happy if they need to emote happiness. These actors are drawing on memories. The memory creates a movie for the subconscious. The subconscious says, okay, give them the emotions. They feel just a little bit of those emotions and they enhance it. They play on that emotion. They feel it. And then you're watching, you're like, that is so real. It's because it is real. They really felt the chemicals in their system. That's why they can become so on edge, so upset, because they're really feeling the chemicals in their system. It really takes a toll on the body to be a good actor. It is real. It is real. The mind makes it real. The subconscious mind makes it real. So how do you use this in your everyday life? Well, some of you are already actors, but you don't acknowledge your own power, right? So I've had conversations and some survivors will say, you know, I waited till the children went to bed and I just cried. I cry at night. I wait till everyone's gone to bed. Hold on, what are you saying when you say that, survivor? What are you saying? You're saying you're able to hold your crying until everyone goes to bed? You know what that sounds like to me? Emotional regulation. Believe it or not, you have a split second, less than a second, a nanosecond to decide what emotion you will emote at what time. It's a decision. When we become angry, every single time you become angry, as much as you say, well, it's my knee-jerk reaction, anger is a choice. When you do it to protect yourself from feeling or showing more vulnerable emotions. Anger is a choice. You go into anger because you really feel embarrassed and you don't want them to see that, or you really feel hurt and you don't want them to see that, or you really feel ashamed, or you really feel worthless and you don't want them. It's a vulnerable emotion that you feel. Confusion. We use anger to hide vulnerable emotions. Why did you, what? But you don't have to choose anger in that moment because you're hiding the real emotion beneath. You can just choose the real emotion. You can just choose to show the actual sadness, the actual embarrassment, the actual fear. You can just choose to show that raw emotion. You can also choose to show little to no emotion. You can feel an emotion that you do not show. How? Sit still. The muscles in your body are not controlled by the emotional brain. The muscles in the body are controlled by the energy flow on top. It's the canopy. The muscles in your face is how you show emotion. Your voice is how you yell. You are not being forced to yell. You are choosing to do that. Why do we choose to do that? The image in our brain that our subconscious sees is a lot of times of an abusive father that we watched, of an abusive mother or a vulnerable parent that we watched, of scenes that we've seen on television of how people are supposed to act, or scenes that we imagine of how we're supposed to act. We're emoting the way that we've learned to emote to survive. We may have learned to squelch out anger, to never show anger in the household we grew up in. So we emote different emotions outwardly. We're controlling it. You just have to learn to pause in that split second, in that nanosecond. That's why I push the rule of 7 seconds. If you're new here, the rule of 7 seconds is to wait 5 to 7 seconds when provoked, when asked a question. Use it all the time. Whenever anyone asks anything of you, use it for a few weeks. Just pause for 7 seconds, 5 to 7 seconds. Just like this. Just like that. 5 to 7 seconds before you let anything out. And what you will learn is in that space of time, in that nanosecond, You had control. You always had control of how you would respond. It takes practice. Is this stuff really real? Scientists, neuroscientists have actually looked at the brain while people were practicing breathing. And what did they find? All of the chaotic energy starts to flow nice and soft when they practice breathing. That's it. So what are you supposed to be doing during those 5 to 7 seconds? You're supposed to be getting logical, allowing the logical brain to come online, and regulating the emotion. Control your breathing, and you will regulate your emotion. It's a scientific fact. When people control their breathing, they slow down their anger, they slow down their sadness, they slow down. You can slow down any emotional response by pausing and breathing. How long should you hold your breath? Just breathe. Control it. That's what's important. Slow it down and control it. For the special technique that I'll show you later for going to sleep, we use 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. But it doesn't matter the amount of time. Just control it. Even one breath changes the energy in the brain. One controlled breath. Just like that. Doesn't matter whether you do it in the nose or the mouth. No. The nose and the mouth, they connect before they ever reach the lungs. Just breathe. Doesn't matter which you use, whether it's the nose or the mouth. Pause. Get logical about what's happening. Extreme thinking causes extreme emotions. The reason it feels your emotions are out of control is because you're not controlling your thoughts. The reason you feel your emotions are out of control is because you are not controlling your thoughts. Stop saying, Joe made me mad. My dad made me mad. My mom, my husband, my wife, they made me mad. No, they didn't. No one can make you feel anything. That's not how feelings work. We're not just sitting here like people just come up and just make us feel whatever. That's not how, we're not designed that way. We are designed to be in control of ourselves and to make things happen in the universe. That's what we're designed to do. We're little creators. We go around making things happen. So that means that you can make things happen first in your mind. One of the first things you can do is slow down your mind just by pausing and breathing. Don't go with the first image in your subconscious. Your first image in your subconscious is going to be of someone punching or whatever. You get an immediate image and the subconscious goes, okay, we'll do that. But you don't have to go with that image. You can pause and you can breathe. You can regulate the emotion. When you have extreme thinking, another term for that, dichotomous thinking, another term for that, black and white thinking. Here's an illustration. If someone gave you a black and white television, would you accept that? Well, no, you would rather have a high definition, full color television, right? How does full color work on your screen? How is it that it's not all in black and white? How did they invent full color? Well, when you go really close to the pixels of a television screen, you get the red, green, and blue. The engineers found that when you, in rapid succession, put the little tiny red, green, and blue dots together in rapid succession, it creates full color images. Just that simple. 3 components create all of the full color images that you see. What's the point? Make sure you're considering all 3 important perspectives when you're thinking. Control the thoughts, control the emotions. You see, when someone has black and white thinking, they're out of control in their emotions and the way they act. Black and white thinking is, you don't receive an invitation to the party. Oh, they probably didn't invite me because they don't like me. Nobody likes me. I'm never going to have any friends now. That's black and white thinking. What? It's too extreme. You just went to one direction of thinking. You're made for more than that. Don't do that. Don't go to one direction of thinking. You are so much more. No. And what happens? Your emotions become extreme. You become depressed or sad and angry, and then your actions become extreme. You write them hate texts and hate mails, or you do something weird like show up at a party you're not supposed to. You're being strange because your thinking is strange. Get out of black and white thinking. We are not children anymore. Drop it. Just like you wouldn't accept a black and white television. Do not accept black and white thinking. How do you think in full color? All three components, red, green, and blue. In this case, your perspective, the opposite perspective, and the bird's eye view, or I call it God's view. Those are the three things you need to consider in order to have full color thinking. You will no longer have extreme thinking when every situation you consider it from my perspective, the opposite end perspective, and the heavenly view, the bird's eye view, God's view of the situation. How does that work? Check out how it works. When you do that in rapid succession, it regulates your whole thinking, regulates your emotions. Look at how it works. I don't receive an invitation to a party. My perspective is they must not like me. That's why they didn't send it. I'm never going to have any friends. What's the opposite perspective? Well, maybe there's something wrong on their end. Maybe they don't have enough room at the venue. Maybe they don't have enough money. Maybe they're having some personal problem, some personal issue that has literally nothing to do with me. Maybe they just overlooked it. What's the bird's eye view on the situation? You shouldn't be so worried about what other people are thinking of you. Your worth does not come from other people's perspectives. Your worth is intrinsic. Focus on your purpose. Find your own tribe. If they're not inviting you, focus on your tribe. Your tribe are the people who are with you, who are showing you the love, who show you the support. That's your tribe. Focus on them. If you have them, if you don't have a tribe like that, focus on your purpose and your tribe will be attracted to you. That's the bird's eye view, right? That's God's view on the situation. Now, when I view that all in rapid succession, what happens to my emotions? Well, maybe they don't like me, but maybe it really is just that they're having a problem, like they don't have enough room or they don't have enough money. I need to focus on my purpose. Maybe they don't like me, but maybe they're just not having enough space for me. Maybe it has nothing to do with me. I need to focus on my purpose. And what happens to my emotions when I think like that? Regulated. Full color thinking. Now I see everything. Now I see the world the way it really is, because that was the truth. The truth is it could be this, but it could be that, and it doesn't matter anyway. That's full color thinking. Did you catch that? That's how you regulate your emotions. Let go of black and white thinking. Okay, it's understandable when you're a child, you're thinking in black and white, but don't stay in the brainstem. Get up on the canopy. We got all this energy up here, and we got to use this energy because we need to be in a state of creativity. We're little creators. We need to be in a state of power, personal power. You can't be in the state of power if they don't like me, they don't like me, they did this because they full color thinking. Maybe they don't like me, but maybe is that they just don't have enough space for me, or they didn't think of it, or it was a mistake. Maybe it got lost in the mail. Doesn't matter anyway. Wow, all my emotions just totally leveled out. Now I'm wise. What are my actions that follow that wise thinking, that balanced emotion? What are my actions now? Calm. I'm sending kind text messages. They call me. I'm not being weird. I'm not starting drama. Oh, hey, how you doing? It's been a long time. Haven't talked to you. So mature. Then what are they doing? Hey, I'm so sorry I didn't get to invite you to the such and such. Right? It all works out. Why? Why does it work out? Why does it flow? Because I started to flow here. I got everything harmonious here. And then my world becomes harmonious as a result. Everything starts here. This phone or computer that you're watching this on, it started here. Somebody had the flow. They're like, oh, you know what? If we just put the pixels together and the things and we make the electricity flow, it was a flow. It's all flow. When they get the flow working here, then the world works harmoniously. It becomes reality. We create reality. We make things happen. That's how we're designed. So control the flow. You have control over the flow of thoughts. How? Pause. Breathe. Go into full color thinking. One perspective, the opposite perspective, the perspective from above. And what happens? Harmony, peace, you in your highest form of thinking and acting. I hope you find this information helpful. If you have further questions or you need help, you can contact me. My number is on the website, mindfree.org. Feel free to tell your friends and family about what we're doing. I have a YouTube channel, and to the 60 that are with us on TikTok and the 25 that are with us on Zoom, please go to that channel. Most of you have already subscribed, which is awesome. But I realized that we're low on our watch time. So there's only about 400 hours of watch time, and we need 4,000 hours of watch time on there. So get those YouTube videos streaming. You should watch about one a day, and that helps to aid you in your emotional regulation, in your healing process to heal from trauma. Every single talk that I do on there is about a half hour long, and it helps you to learn how to think so that you can control the emotions and have the highest quality actions in your life. Helps you to heal. So please make sure you're streaming those YouTube videos. They're there. They're free. Take advantage of them. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. And you guys have a great night.